You talk about good management with corporations and that you try and buy companies with good management. I feel that I have about as much chance of meeting good managers other than yourself as I do bringing Richard Nixon back to life. How do I, as an average investor, find out what good management is?
Well, I think you judge management by two yardsticks. One is how well they run the business, and I think you can learn a lot about that by reading about both what they've accomplished and what their competitors have accomplished, and seeing how they have allocated capital over time. You have to have some understanding of the hand they were dealt when they themselves got a chance to play the hand. But if you understand something about the business they're in, and you can't understand it in every business, but you can find industries or companies where you can't understand it, then you simply want to look at how well they have been doing in playing the hand essentially that's been dealt with them. And then the second thing you want to figure out is how well that they treat their owners. And I think you can get a handle on that oftentimes. A lot of times you can't. I mean, there are many companies that obviously fall in somewhere in that 20th to 80th percentile, and it's a little hard to pick out where they do fall. But I think you can usually figure out. I mean, it's not hard to figure out that, say, Bill Gates or Tom Murphy, or Don Keogh, or people like that are really outstanding managers, and hard to figure out who they're working for. And I could give you some cases on the other end of the spectrum too. It's interesting how often the ones that, in my view, are the poorer managers also turn out to be the ones that really don't think that much about the shareholders too. The two often go hand in hand. But I think reading of reports, reading of competitors' reports, I think you'll get a fix on that in some cases. You don't have to make 100 correct judgments in this business or 50 correct judgments. You only have to make a few. And that's all we try to do. And generally speaking, the conclusions I've come to about managers have really come about the same way you could make yours. I mean, they've come about by reading reports rather than any intimate personal knowledge or knowing them personally at all. So read the proxy statements, see what they think of, see how they treat themselves versus how they treat the shareholders, and look at what they have accomplished considering what the hand was that they were dealt when they took over, compared to what is going on in the industry. And I think you can figure it out sometimes. You don't have to figure it out very often. Charlie?
Nothing to add.
How you go about exactly keeping somebody with such fine skills within the fold? He might go to Walt Disney someday and pull down $200 million.
Well, if he gets offered $200 million, we may not compete too vigorously at that level. We basically try to run a business so that Charlie and I have two jobs. We have to identify and keep good managers interested after we figured out who they are, and that often is a little different here because I would say a majority of our managers are financially independent, so that they don't go to work because they're worried about putting kids through school or putting food on the table. So they have to have some reason to go to work aside from that. They have to be treated fairly in terms of compensation, but they also have to figure it is better than playing golf every day or whatever it may be. And so that's one of the jobs we have, and we basically attack that the same way. We look at what they do the same way we look at what we do. We've got a wonderful group of shareholders. Before I ran this, I had a partnership. I had a great group of partners, and essentially I like to be left alone to do what I did. I like to be judged on the scorecard at the end of the year rather than on every stroke, and not second-guessed in a way that was inappropriate. I like to have people who understood the environment in which I was operating. And so the important thing we do with managers generally is to find the 400 hitters and then not tell them how to swing, as I put in the report. Second thing we do is allocate capital. And aside from that, we play bridge. It's pretty much what happens at Berkshire. So with any of the managers you might name here, we try to make it interesting and fun for them to run their business. We try to have a compensation arrangement that's appropriate for the kind of business they're in. We have no company-wide compensation plan. We wouldn't dream of having some compensation expert or consultant come in and screw it up. We some businesses require a lot of capital that we're in, some require no capital. Some are easy businesses where good profit margins are a cinch to come by, but we're really paying for the extra beyond that. Some are very tough businesses to make money in. And it would be crazy to have some huge framework that we tried to place everybody in where one size would fit all. People generally are compensated relating in some manner that relates to how their business does, as opposed to, there's no reason to pay anybody based on how Berkshire does, because no one has responsibility for Berkshire except for Charlie and me. And we try to make them responsible for their own units, compensated based on how those units do. We try to understand the businesses they're in, so we know what the difference between a good performance and a bad performance. So that's how we work with people. We've had terrific luck over the years in retaining the managers that we wanted to retain, and it's I think largely it's because, particularly, they sell us a business that to a great extent the next day they're running it just as they were the day before, and they're having as much fun running their business as I have running Berkshire. Charlie?
Well, I've got nothing to add, but I think it's that concept of treating the other fellow the way you'd like to be treated if the roles were reversed. It's so simple when you stop to think about it, but it's a rare evening when Ajit and Warren aren't talking once on the phone. It's more than a business relationship, at least it seems that way to me.
Yeah, well, it is. Stay that way too.
And by the way, we like our relationships to be more than a business relationship.
Charlie and I are very far. We basically, it's a luxury, but it's a luxury that we should try to nurture. We get to work with people we like, and it makes life a lot simpler. It probably helps on that goal of being the oldest living American too.
Yeah, and we tend to like people we admire.
Yeah, who do we like that we don't admire, Charlie? Start naming names. Do these people have names?